is the Conservative Colonel Podcast with Harrison Dawes, where one man stands against the rising tide of liberalism. This officer in the battle to preserve our nation is the Conservative Colonel.
Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue.
And here's Harrison Dawes.
Started bobbing my head to the music, not realizing how stupid I must look. Luckily, we have not been uploading the video format of the show. Thank goodness. I looked rough. But welcome back to the Conservative Colonel Podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Dawes, coming to you from the mean streets of Oxford, Mississippi, actually. I had to come up to Oxford for some work. By the time this comes out, I'll probably be home back in Wayne County. Ironically, I filmed episodes out of order for the first time. So I filmed episode 36, which is the 1-year anniversary episode. So it does veer from the short format of season 1.5, what we've been doing, but it's still not as long as a normal episode. So it's about 30 minutes, nothing special or anything, but I wanted to do something special for that episode, so please go check it out next Thursday. Phenomenal episode, I think. Kind of talked about the history, thanked some of the people behind the scenes, and talked about what I think is a bright future for this podcast. But before we get started, please remember to leave us a 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice. We have new episodes out every Thursday. Our main platform is Spreaker, but we're also on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music and Audible, Cashbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Listen Notes, and Good Pods. We also have the video format of the show, which right now must suck for you poor people that watch it because it's just the logo on the screen because we're not doing the video format right now on YouTube every Wednesday. We are going to be catching up on Rumble soon, hopefully as well. But I wanted to talk about the Jackson, Mississippi mayor. So he, not that he's back in the news, but some articles I missed when talking about him, and maybe some articles that came out right after I talked about him that I wanted to talk about. Just some quick words of wisdom for y'all, some knowledge. Even though he's under investigation for bribery, good job, Jackson. He says this changes nothing about running for a third term. Wow. The gall of this man. Getting, again, innocent till proven guilty. But I wouldn't even be talking about another term until I'm proven innocent. Now, of course, if it was election time when this came out, yeah, I'd probably run. But, I mean, dude, now's not the time. I guess he's trying to put up a strong front. This was released back in November. Then again, I mean, his election is next year, so maybe he's just trying to get ahead of it. Again, innocent till proven guilty. I personally think he is guilty. I mean, it's Jackson, Mississippi. Let's be honest. It used to be one of the jewels of Mississippi. It is now a crap hole that no one wants to even live in. People who work in Jackson don't even live in Jackson anymore. It's pretty sad. And speaking on how sad Jackson is, so, you know, he responded to some critics about new paid parking system downtown in Jackson. And his quote is, "It is revenue that is sorely needed in this city." Now, I'm not disputing that Jackson needs the money, but I would start asking, what are these funds being used for? Obviously, it took a long time with the water issue. Maybe that took a lot of money. The state did offer to help, but you said no. Now, that's going off of memory. So, again, happy to be corrected if I'm wrong. But you have successfully ran Jackson, Mississippi in the ground, and your response to your poor leadership is you want more money. In the middle of a bribery investigation, actually, indictment, man's going to trial. You know, and I think this was done a couple months back before this even happened. But still, Jackson gets revenue about 2-point-something million, according to this news article on Yahoo. What are we using that for in Jackson? Because Jackson's not looking any better. Now, it takes money and time to fix something. I get that. But you're on your third term as mayor. And I will say Jackson is worse than it was when you took over. That is a certified fact. There are needles and drug deals happening in the street. People don't feel safe. I know so many of my friends who live close to Jackson, because none of them are brave enough to live in Jackson except for one. She just can't afford to live in the nicer outside suburbs of Jackson because all the high middle class and rich folk have moved out there. She can't afford it. You know, she gets nervous. She got, her family. She's not one to ask for money, but she had to ask for a high dollar security system. She says that, she has to park pretty far from where she works. And when she gets off at night, she's scared for her life. That's not how citizens are supposed to live in a city. Nevertheless, in the most conservative, and I'm saying that with big quotation marks, state in the union with the most red. Now, Jackson is one of our few blue spots, to my dismay. But when is Jackson, Mississippi going to wake up, knowing the fact that their mayor is facing corruption charges? He's even denying to answer questions about unfiled campaign financial reports during a bribery scandal. So what happened to your money, Mr. Mayor? Why are you not releasing those reports? Wasn't it the liberals that wanted more openness? Again, in quotation marks. Because I don't believe they wanted more openness. I believe they wanted an avenue to say that they were fighting corruption. I don't believe it. And it's extremely sad that we have multiple officials in Jackson that have resigned or in the middle of this bribery scandal. And again, when we come back from our season somewhat break, we're going to dive into this. I've been patiently waiting for more news to pop up. Again, this is just some news I missed during the initial release of all this information. And I don't think the evidence is looking good, Mr. Mayor. Maybe you should step down and let new leadership step up. Hopefully, this wakes Jackson up with the corruption that city faces. You can't keep voting for the same. If the conservative party, which we don't really have one, we just kind of go with the Republicans. If the Republicans are failing, maybe it's a time for a switch. We've had that with George Bush, when George Bush failed tremendously. We switched to Obama and had major shifts in this country that we still face today. But that was because of the Republican Party's failures. But there are some people, I don't understand the liberal mind. You see the corruption. You see how your city is. I try to avoid Jackson with the best of my abilities anytime I have to drive through there. I don't want to pull over at a gas station. I don't want anything. And I'm a man that carries a sidearm. Mississippi is a friendly, open, and concealed carry state. But even I don't want to go out, especially at night. Crime, corruption, and bribery. That is the news coming from Jackson. Will Jackson step up? Will they finally break free of this socialist utopia we have here in Mississippi? At our capital? Probably not. That's the sad bit of news. Until we start taking back the state and local levels, conservatives, we will see this state fall. And soon, everywhere will look like Jackson, Mississippi. Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Conservative Colonel Podcast. Make sure to tune in next week for a bit longer episode in this season's somewhat break. We will be returning to full hour-long episodes in January. Share this out, leave us a 5-star review, and visit conservativecolonel.com where you can check out our store, all our platforms, Conservative Allies, the Best Of series where I have picked my favorite episodes of the Conservative Colonel Podcast, and hopefully much more. Thank you for listening. God bless America, and God bless Mississippi.